I love a good quote when I am having a crisis of confidence with my creative output, or I feel like a project is taking a little bit too long to complete. So get ready for an inspiration boost and a mindset shift with these 5 quotes. Number 1, reject the tyranny of picked, pick yourself. This quote is by Seth Godin, who, if you don't know, you 100% need to research after this video, but he is someone who every creative side hustling person should be taking a lot of advice from. He has a free daily email that goes out. You can sign up to it. I'll link below, but he's a marketing genius, but he doesn't sell his soul in the process of it. Think about your creative life so far. Do you normally wait for someone to anoint you with opportunity? Or do you manufacture opportunities yourself and grab them with both hands? For so long, as a creative person, I thought that you needed permission from certain people to be able to do things. And I thought that there had to be a specific demand or desire for your voice, your art, your work, your writing, whatever it is, before you were allowed to put it out into the world. The truth is, you can create this on your own. Pretty much everything in my creative career so far has been driven by me. And I don't say that to gloat, just to demonstrate that I didn't sit there and wait for people to bring opportunities to me or tell me that I was ready or that they wanted it. I just did it. And I put it out there. And if I thought that I would be good at something or for something, I put my name forward for it. I chose myself. The great thing about this mindset shift and this quote from Seth Godin is that it gives you the power and it gives you autonomy over your creative life. This will also make you realize that so many other people before you who you admire and look up to and want to be like have done this as well. If you research into anybody's story, it wasn't simply they were just sitting there or they got scouted. Yes, that does happen once in a while, but generally people have worked really, really hard and they have put themselves forward time and time again before they've gotten to the point that you see online or in a published format or whatever it may be. Looking at my career so far, nobody asked me to start a YouTube channel. I just did it. I went out on a limb and I started a YouTube channel and now I have 2. No one specifically asked me to photograph their products and I turned into a commercial photographer by just taking photos of things that I owned, sending them to brands, and then booking jobs through that way. So again, I really chose myself for the position that I wanted. The more you choose yourself, the more you will get chosen as well. So this works in 2 ways. If you can implement this strategy that Seth Godin is saying by choosing yourself and rejecting the idea that you need to wait for someone to do it for you, you'll find that you'll build so much hype around yourself that people then will be showing interest. People will start asking you for things and things will come a lot easier. But you'll always remember that you ultimately are in control. And when you do feel stifled, you feel stuck, or you feel like you want to do something new, always remember that you can choose yourself for that. Quote number 2 is, ideas are easy, implementation is hard. And this one is by Guy Kawasaki. He is a Silicon Valley venture capitalist. He's written a bunch of books, and he was also the man behind the 1984 Macintosh marketing campaign. So he's just done a few really amazing things. This quote is particularly important for creatives, and I have a theory that every single person, whether they class themselves as creative or not, has at least one really good idea for a book, a product, a movie, just anything. However, making that idea come to life, translating it properly, making it accessible to people, working out the logistics of it, and bringing it to its final form, those are all of the implementation parts that Guy is talking about. They are the hard part. The ideas and the idea generation is really quite easy. I find this very specific to creative people like you and I, because we are often inspired very easily and we can feel really motivated after seeing something or reading something or having a conversation or seeing a piece of art. And then we're just flooded with all of these ideas and it's easy to get run away with them and then find yourself so paralyzed by all of your really brilliant ideas and not be able to focus in on one of them, not knowing which one to tackle, or starting to tackle it and then feeling that feeling of, oh my God, this is so much harder than I thought it would be, and then just abandoning the project altogether to move on to another idea that's bright and shiny and new and feels easy. I could pretty much do a whole video on this topic because I think that it requires a lot of discipline to take an idea through to the end and to actually implement it. We're not going to go into that today, but I just think this quote is worth keeping front of mind, and something you can do that's actionable, because I like to give actionable advice, is to make sure you audit your ideas. And when you do come up with lots of good ones, keeping them written down is great, but actually doing a couple of steps and following through. So, okay, you've got a really great idea for an art project. How viable is it? How long would it take? Is it going to cost a lot of money? How would you actually get it done? Would it be very difficult? And is it something that you can really see yourself committing to? What would the end result be? Does it align with your goals? Really investigate the idea before you get super run away with it. Tell all your friends at coffee your great idea, feel amazing, and then not actually do anything because you realize that the implementation part is so hard. No shade here to anybody. I do that all the time. I have 1,000,001 YouTube video ideas in my head, but then when I go to do them, I think, oh, well, I'd need a lot of B-roll for that. I would need B-roll in Paris, or it's just, bigger than Ben-Hur, and let's just leave that one and move on to something that is actually going to be feasible for me to achieve, but is still exciting. Quote number 3 is by Reid Hoffman, who is one of the co-founders of LinkedIn. And he says, if you are not embarrassed by the first version of your product, you've launched too late. If we look back on things like Instagram and Facebook when they first came out, and if you do a little bit of research here, listen to interviews with people who were involved at that time, you'll find that they launched a very average or sort of subpar product. It definitely wasn't at its end stage. And you could even argue that those apps now, despite how successful and, money-making they are not in their final iteration. They are always evolving and being updated. And as creatives, we kind of don't take that license. We think that something needs to be final and it needs to be perfect, and we can put a lot of pressure on ourselves. So taking a leaf out of these tech giants' books, I know that they're not everybody's favorite people, but we can definitely learn a lot from these people that have created these huge, iconic things in our time. If you've been sitting on a project or you've been thinking about doing something that will help you creatively, like starting a YouTube channel or a podcast or something like that, really listen to this quote and consider writing it down and popping it up somewhere so it's really front of mind for you. When I first started my YouTube channel, my videos were awful, and I have gotten gradually better and better. The production, my presentation, and I look back and I cringe. But I take that as a good thing. It's a good thing that I look back and I can see how much I've improved over the 4.5 years that I have been doing it. If you're not cringing, then there's something wrong, and you need to embrace the cringe now to look back on it later and see how much you've improved. So it's kind of just a process. It's something you need to accept. And if you're putting out this really perfectly polished thing, you definitely waited too long, and maybe your opportunity or a door that might have been open for you has just closed now. It's better to just start and to do and learn on the job than wait until you are perfect. Quote number 4 is from Michael Jordan. Everybody loves an MJ quote. You must expect great things of yourself before you can do them. I am not a sports fan by any means at all, but the more I progress and the older I get and the more I'm interested in how we as humans can be more creative, how we can achieve things, how we can do amazing things, I'm looking at sports stars and I'm actually getting a lot of inspiration from them. So Michael Jordan's quote here, you must expect great things of yourself before you can do them, is really all about the mindset you have. And I find that a lot of creatives and artists can have this self-deprecating mindset. They can have this mindset that, you can't make money off your art, the starving artist. There's all these archetypes that we have kind of come to just accept. And I think they really bring us down and hold us back. If you really want to make an impact with your work, or there's a goal that you want to reach, there's something that you want to do, there's a project you've always dreamed of bringing to life, I really think you need an injection of that athlete's mindset to push through, stay the course, get some discipline, and speak to yourself in a way that tells you, I can do this. The higher you regard yourself and your output, the better your output will be. If you don't believe in yourself or your work very much, it's really hard to then ask other people to do that. It's the same as love. If you don't love yourself, then it's really hard for other people to love you. If we imagine ourselves doing the thing that we really dream of and want to achieve, it will probably lead to actions that get you there. So I think that Michael Jordan's mindset obviously was amazing and brought him to, absolute greatness. And we can take morsels of that, and without putting too much pressure on yourself or being seen as arrogant, I think you can really believe in yourself and push yourself just that little bit more and have really positive self-talk around your work and what you're capable of, and just keep that in check all the time. If you can't imagine your work in a major gallery that you have visited before, then it's probably not going to happen. If you can't imagine yourself performing on stage to thousands of people, then it's probably not going to happen. You need to be able to put yourself in those shoes, in the shoes of that person that you want to be. And even if you don't quite get there or your trajectory changes, you'll be proud of yourself for persevering and pushing through, trying your hardest, and bringing your best mindset to it all. I think sports people remind us that it's not all about being kind to yourself. Of course, that's important sometimes, but I think sometimes it's also important to rise to the challenge. Quote number 5 is by the famous artist Andy Warhol. He said, "Art is what you can get away with." I think this one is a little bit cheeky, but it's true. I think we all need a little bit of tenacity, especially these days, if we want to succeed as an artist. This quote is worth remembering because it helps to highlight that we don't all need to come up with brand new, fresh, unique ideas to become important, relevant, or successful. A few other things come to mind here in this realm. The book Steal Like an Artist, which I haven't read, but it's on my list. Let me know if you've read it below. All of these things, including what Andy Warhol said, just show us that, everybody's borrowing from somewhere and things don't need to be completely original. Obviously, we don't want to be ripping things off and, we want to make sure that we're injecting our own personal spin on things. But really, we're an amalgamation of all of the things that have happened to us and that we've consumed and seen. So remember that, art is what you can get away with. So what have you seen or read or heard? What's inspired you? How can you take that and then put your own spin on it rather than putting so much pressure on yourself to come up with something completely brand new? If we take Andy Warhol's work, for example, I think it was scrutinized a lot, but it was also celebrated and very successful. And I think that's because it was so simple and he took everyday things and he made them extraordinary. So this is something that we can do, especially if you have limited resources. I think Andy Warhol was really good at sort of using, to a lot of different extents, the people around him, and he would be able to put them in positions or do things that, he couldn't do. And he used that creative community to kind of like lift himself up. I have a couple of issues with Andy Warhol, but I'm not going to go into it in this video. But I just think that he is a person that we can all learn a lot from in the realm of bringing something to life that's not completely original, but it has our own spin on it. And I think that that's fine. I think there's art within doing that. Andy Warhol's work also allows us to put our ego aside. And sometimes we can really think, I have to come up with something that is so amazing before I share it with the world. And there is an element of ego to that. And being able to drop your ego as a creative person is really, really important. You don't need to start from scratch. You don't need to reinvent the wheel. You can build on things that already exist. There are many, many quotes in the world from some amazing people. So if you have any that you live by, you remind yourself of, please comment below and let me know. I would love to hear. And it's really awesome to see this community growing here on YouTube, Substack, and on the podcast. I really appreciate everybody who is tuning in. Let me know if you have any topic requests or things that you would like to hear me talk about. I'll see you and talk to you in the next one.